Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Dissenting Goyim Show. I appreciate you coming by. Oh, yeah, this is brought to you by Dyed in the Wool History Productions. And let me tell you what, I tried to talk about this a little midweek wisdom, but unfortunately, I couldn't get that video loaded. So here we go today with that same bit of wisdom. Um, Over the past couple of weeks, we have definitely been a little hypercritical as to what President Trump was doing, and rightfully so. Why? Because he went and pulled a president out of his country, took him back to America, put him on trial for, well, charges that aren't really necessarily true. And we can question the morality of his leadership in his country, but not our problem, not our constitution, not our republic. Then he moved on, right? We talked about Iran, we've seen Israel, and it all comes down to the question of hegemony, the control of the globe, the control of the West. What was once a multipolar rule, or well, people like to say rules based order, or international law, which is really just whatever. It's meant to protect the people that we don't really want it to protect. Um, Now moved on to a unipolar world, right? That hegemony on the globe is ran by one specific group that was once together, but the hypercritical criticality of us against Trump now is starting to make a little more sense, and we get a new perspective of it, right? Over this past week, we have seen the Davos or Davos or whatever in Switzerland, the 2026 annual meeting of the billionaires. And we start to realize that in history, there is a very repeatable cycle. This repeatable cycle revolves around the great game. The great game is I'm not gonna say chess game because I don't want you guys to be thinking about that 5D stuff. Whatever, right? That nuisance. Apparently, people just decided to start getting smart or pretend that they're smart. I'm gonna call it the great game because that's what it was. It existed over control the peripheries of a country or a kingdom or a realm or whatever you want to say. And he who controlled the peripheries tended to then control the core areas. It folded back over. It's Carol Quigley put forward this in 1966. And it's a great book. If you read Tragedy and Hope, A History of the World in Our Time, he cuts it off short. But nonetheless, it's talking about this. If you control the peripheries, you tend to fold over and you start to control the core areas because the core areas tend to implode on each other because you can't expand capital. You can't do really much from that. Right. And so this great game revolved again, not just around the peripheries, but around also the opium trade. What happened in the South Pacific? If you controlled the East Indies, you controlled generally everything, the finances, you were the entrepot, but you had multiple entrepots, which is why it was multipolar. But because we're a unipolar world and we're still trying to figure out how to navigate that's the whole empire stage of America. Uh, we're seeing this happen again. And why? Because we're seeing a group of merchants on the left side of the Atlantic, and we're seeing a group of merchants on the right side of the Atlantic now go after each other. And that's when we start to see what President Trump meant by America first. It wasn't the domestic aspect, it wasn't Americans first, and we need to understand that there's a very distinct difference between America first and Americans first. But regardless, we are seeing who is going to control. We're seeing a battle over who is going to control this world, who's going to control that unipolar. And the question is, and it's all said and done, what is our world going to look like? Is it going to be multipolar or is it going to be unipolar? Who's going to control it? And well, we're kind of seeing the pendulum swing in Donald Trump's favor because he's moved us onto an empire. He's tending to show that he is willing. I think that Venezuela was a show of strength, not just to give a present to our billionaires who want control, but it was to show that, hey, look, your order doesn't work. Your order is weak. And here I am taking care of this. Who is going to protect the world? Who pays for everything? America. Who's going to protect the world? America. And this is where we start to see why people think he's moving away from them, from the platform that they voted on. But realistically, did they understand what they were voting for? And did they get what he meant when he said America first? Now, his speech at Davos proves that he is America first in the world, his ruling class first in the world, the people that support him first in the world, right? He claimed to have all this great things, but you know what really benefited the average American? We can put a lot of question on that because, well, you know, we can talk about interest rates lowering at no inflation as a no inflation. That's, you know, again, that's economically questionable. Do I have more spending power? Probably not. No. Can I afford, again, that goes with spending power. Can I afford more things? Right. Can I go and buy land? No, I can't. Right. So all the things that he's claiming exist at a higher level, but not down to the constituents of what was once the republic, now the empire. Right. But we get to see this. We get to see it in action. We get to understand just by the introduction here, which we're going to show in a minute, that America really is the superpower. And they are winning. Trump is winning, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, at the cost, of course, at the cost of a constitutional republic. But then again, he's not doing anything different than Abraham Lincoln, FDR, right? We're just moving forward in the same stupid cycle, these bad presidents. You know, we don't have a Monroe anymore. We don't have a Jefferson or a Washington. We don't have a John Tyler. We don't have a Stephen Grover Cleveland. We have the imperial age. We got the Lincolns. We got the FDRs, the Teddys. We got the Bushes, we got the LBJs, right? So we need to understand that moving forward, and we need to get what Donald Trump said. But here is a very good introduction to Trump, and the point that even Larry Fink, who I guess is kind of on the side or the middle as far as who he's siding with, you know, because you had Canada and Macron giving these, you know, America bad, this America will fall, the empire's done, and we need to detach ourselves from that. And then you have Larry Fink introduce Donald Trump saying that America is single-handedly the most important country in the globe. So go ahead.